G'day there, it's Tom Kendall here in my garden on our property in Maungaraeeda on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. Today I'm doing a Q A, a question and answer session. People have sent in some questions and I'm going to do my best to answer them for them. Okay, so we're going to start here with Joe, and it's about carbon sequestration. The question is, how much carbon is put back into the soil using mob grazing style with cattle? Has it been measured compared to the methane produced? Generally, my answer to that generally is it puts a lot back into the soil, but you're asking for technical specifics. So my suggestion is to check out Alan Savory's information. He has some great manuals and books, and he'll give you a bit more, or a lot more in-depth information about that. Has it been measured compared to the methane production? I haven't actually looked at anything about that comparison. You know, is it the end result of doing it? I do know that it's going to be much better mob grazing, pasture grazing, carbon sequestration, methane compared to feedlot and soil repair. I just know that that's better. My work that I've done in Western Australia was showing much improved carbon humus build-up. Okay, going to the next question. This is from Mitchell about plant selection. Mitchell lives in Rockhampton, and he's wondering if there's an alternative to comfrey that would work well there. Comfrey is a fantastic mineral miner, ground cover type plant. It breaks up the soil, and so he's wondering if there's an alternative to comfrey. It's only spring and his comfrey is getting fried in the full sun. He needs something that can handle full sun and exposed sites. Well, my first recommendation is to get more shade. The area that you're in, Rockhampton, there, you're quite hot and you're actually reasonably dry, even though you're in the subtropics. You're going to need more shade, so I would focus more on getting shade, and then you can grow your comfrey. And just go with legumes, pigeon pea or something. I'm not exactly sure what you're doing there, Mitchell, whether you're gardening or you're in a bigger situation, but pigeon pea or tipuana tipu or some legumes, and that's going to help build your organic matter, because you'll be doing chop and drop as well. In ground covers, there's probably a few out there, well, it's probably not going to handle that full sun either, is pinto peanut, but that's my recommendation anyhow, is just to focus more on getting more shade, and then you'll be able to grow more of your ground covers. Okay, so now we have Todd, dealing with standing water in southern Ecuador. I'm spending time by the beach in the Playas region of Ecuador, and the town I'm in is expanding rapidly. The terrain has natural gullies that used to drain the water away, but each landowner eventually fills in their part of the gully. Several seasons they have. My question is, do you have suggestions for how residents can use the standing water in their gullies instead of having to fill in this natural part of the terrain? Now, I'm not sure what the major problem is by filling these gullies in. Does that mean that when it does rain, there's nowhere for the water to go? And that is the problem, or you're just concerned about everyone's just flattening the land out and filling in a natural part? So I can't exactly determine what your concern is. So I don't know what the solution would be. But if I had gullies that got water in them, I would be doing dams, and then I'd be possibly doing aquaculture and fish culture and ponds and creating diverse habitat. You might even be able to hold water longer, so you got a longer humid season instead of a dry season, which by standing water you can create, and the plants and ecology around that. So I'd be myself, not that I've been to this area to understand completely, but myself, I'd be probably focusing on doing that, is to hold the water for longer, whether you can hold it all year round or whether you don't want to hold it all year round because you don't have anywhere for the water to drain to if you've got all your ponds and gullies full. So that's where I don't know the specific problem that you're referring to there. Okay, this one's an interesting one. This is Adnan Karbas. I'm a bit challenged with this one because it's written in Turkish and I don't read Turkish, so the quick solution to that, I don't really have one. Maybe we could try and get it translated on Google, but I'm not very confident with their translation. But we might have to give that one a miss for now, and come back to us in English, and then I'll definitely try and help you out. Okay, now Jessica, I want to create all green permaculture communities in America, starting specifically in Georgia where I live. I see the average citizen working themselves to death and still unable to pay basic household bills, as well as not having access to affordable, healthy, natural food. No one seems to have time to dream because they're hammering away at their jobs and stressed and unhealthy. This is a worldwide issue. It's becoming more and more of an issue, and so I totally understand what you're talking about. I want to create natural, thriving communities where people are actually in relationships with one another, believe in greater food and enjoy thinking outside the box. My dream is to build an Earthship type community. Seems too far expensive. You don't own property and you don't really know where to start. You did a great word there in Earthship community. I'm going to work more on the community. That's where you're going to need to start, whether you start a community garden with a group or just get involved in local groups, and then start getting like-minded people on the same track. And with a community garden, a lot of ideas come in, and you can bring as much permaculture into that, of course. You'll definitely be bringing permaculture into that. So that's where I would suggest to start and begin. And with that you'll get a lot of learning, and the like-minded people will come to you. And from there you'll start, hopefully people will be able to, because some people do have the opportunity to step out of the system a little bit. I did it here. I've stepped totally out and given it a go, and it's working for me, and I totally enjoy the community I have of the people that come because of what I've done, and by creating this space that we're sitting in. And so that's my recommendation, is maybe a community garden or something of the such, and from there it will grow. But you've got to make that first step. Sounds like you're passionate about that, so when you've got plenty of passion, things will happen, so go for it. And other people, resources will come to you when you start getting on the right thing, and that'll be people, and they'll help you out, and because they're interested as well, so that you're not the only one that's thinking this way. You just might be the one to get everyone starting to connect, and go for it, and I wish you luck with that. Okay, we have Tracy here, ponds and dams. So this might help back to the other one as well, if there's a problem with creating dams in those gullies that I was talking about a moment ago. I'm most interested in techniques and possibilities regarding creating dams and ponds in a predominantly sandy, clay-free soil. Are we restricted to using liners, or is there more natural materials that we can use? I've been looking into the glaying process, as there is not a lot of info out there. I'm wondering if you have any info on this technique. Any other suggestions for sealing ponds and dams in sandy soil? In Vanuatu we're going to have this issue because there's not very much clay in Vanuatu soils, and so we need to look at that. So one thing I always noticed is when you have a pig, if your culture allows you to have a pig, when you have a pig and it has a water source, they'll end up a muddy puddle no matter what type of soil it is. So can we extend from that? Can we dig out a hollow and then put some pigs in there and feed them and confine them to that area, and eventually will they seal that? That's been done, and maybe that's a possible answer for you. In the gleeing, it's just like a gleeing, but it's using animals to help do that, to compact it. Another animal that will do that is a water buffalo. So is that an opportunity to do that? And I'm looking out for either the pigs or water buffalo option in Vanuatu, because we want to start creating ponds there. Now Jeff Lawton has done a video clip on jefflawton.com about ducks. He's putting ducks into a dam that he's got that has a leak, and he's using the ducks to try and muddy the water and slowly seal the edges. And I think that's a great idea. There's a local guy here that's giving that a go as well. He says it might take a couple of years, but he's given it a go with all these ducks confined into this pond area. Right, sorry, I don't know how to say this name. I apologise if I get it wrong. It's Ziad Kadwa. Anyhow, it's about monkeys. What would be the best way to deal with monkeys? Major problems with them breaking off unripe fruit and throwing them away, as well as eating the flowers. There's not much detail for me to work with there. I've never had to deal with monkeys, apart from a few volunteers sometimes that might consider them to be monkeys. But we usually sort them out. But electric fence is a possible opportunity to keep them out, but if you're in a very vegetated area, that's not going to work. But in our culture here, we all use fencing to keep predators out, and we do use electric fencing even to keep possums out. So you put a bit of fence up, and then as a possum climbs over the fence, it gets a little zap and doesn't want to come back again. It doesn't kill them, it just scares them off. So maybe electric fence is an option. I'm not sure if you're able to do that with the resources available. We have bush turkey issues here, and we use a unique element to help with the bush turkeys, and that's by leaving teddy bears on the fences. And the bush turkeys, for some reason or other, don't like the idea of seeing a teddy bear, and so they don't come in. So that's quite intriguing. Maybe you can find something like that to scare off the monkey. It's like a scarecrow technique. Okay. I'm looking at flat land that is submerged in 6 inches of water. This is Erin in Ohio, the USA. All the trees have died, so I know the ground stays underwater. Is the solution to get the land into... Is there a solution to help get the land into production? One solution I see is digging a pond and using the material to build up the surrounding area. That's a great idea. Shinampa systems are done on that principle. So you dig channels and put the material from the channel between the channels, and then you can garden on the land, and you can do aquaculture in the water, plants and animals in the water. So that gives you Shinampas are recorded as the most productive agricultural systems on the planet, so that's a great idea. That I would totally suggest that. I would need to be looking at the why and how it's submerged. If the trees are dying, at one time it wasn't submerged, or one time the water wasn't so brackish or something like that, because why are the trees dying? At one time they were able to live in that environment. So where is the excess water, or where is the excess salinity, or what it might be that's killing the trees? That would need to be looked at. And also, can you control, does the water stay at 6 inches, or does it get more, or flood, or flash flood, or whatever, so that you can manage and monitor, so that you don't lose your production? That would be something I'd have to look at as well. You might have to put in some barriers so that only a little bit of water comes through at a time instead of a big inundation. Okay, so that's it for today's questions. I hope I've been of assistance there. If you have some more, just go to our website, and there's somewhere there that you can leave a question, and if I haven't elaborated enough on these questions for those that asked, just send us another note, and I might be able to, with your elaboration, I might be able to elaborate more also.